I'm going to use this time tonight to talk about a project that's been underway now for a while, and that is the introduction of ubiquitous broadband into the parish. As you know, we at the Economic Development Board level, we hired a firm, contracted with them to come in, take a look at where we were, make some recommendations, give us some information to continue this process. I don't know about the reaction you've gotten, but everything that I've heard from the people of the parish has been very much very exciting. I want to make sure that we start out on the right footing in terms of a description of what we're talking about, because I hear people say we want to bring the internet to the parish in terms of this initiative. And that's only one of three things that bringing broadband to the parish can do. The proposal that we looked at was a way to build the infrastructure necessary for the internet, access to the internet, access to voice over IP phone systems, and entertainment providers, all through what I would label as today's essential utility. And so in my mind, what we're talking about is the development of a process to create a new modern utility to provide access from the consumer's point of view to a network that allows developers and others and private companies to bring services over that network. And I know that's a little bit of a kind of a difficult concept to understand, but it's important that you realize when we build this network for the parish, if we build this network for the parish, it won't just provide the internet to you. It'll be capable of having providers come in and deliver services other than just writing an email to your cousin in San Diego. So let's look at this first page and talk about the different levels of speed relative to providing these kinds of services. Because the problem we have in a parish today, and this has been confirmed by the engineering study that we did, is that what we have is generally unavailable, it's generally unreliable, generally there are data caps on what you can purchase, and it's expensive. So what we have generally available today, I would equate to a water system that doesn't deliver water reliably, costs too much, charges you by the gallon, from the very beginning, and so forth. So what this study is intended to do is to move us from, this is where most of the people in the parish are today, to this point right here. So what is the difference? Well, let's talk about it in terms of a Netflix video in HD, which is a 25 gig bit of data that comes over the internet right now. If you downloaded that using DSL, it would take you 7 hours and 55 minutes to download it before you could watch it. If you used a 50 megabyte download over a cable, it would generally take you about an hour and 9 minutes to download it. So you would be subject to some buffering, but not a tremendous amount. If you downloaded it over 100 megabyte download, it would download in 34 minutes and 40 seconds. Meaning, if you're watching an hour and a half flick, once you get started, you never buffer, you never lose it, you don't have problems with it. So what we're looking at is moving from being in a place of antiquity to being able to do things in real time. And in fact, in my estimation, it's one of the most important things we can do to assist with development in our parish. And I'll show you some things later So what the solution is, what we're calling FAST. It's a system that needs to be flexible, it needs to be affordable, it must be scalable technology. So, the study is complete, the design is drafted, and the costs are identified. That's what we got for our money from the Economic Development Board. The design is based around fiber at the core, and the fiber at the core builds the base network, which we'll show you in a minute on some maps. And then depending on the density at the end of that fiber line, there'll be two, perhaps more options, but two for sure. One is fiber straight to the home. That's a little more expensive. And second is wireless from the end of the fiber to the home. That's a solution that may be necessary in some parts of the parish because of the lack of density, because of the cost, because of the topography, the geography, and so forth. So this system is intended to provide open access service delivery and be flexible. All right, so here's our parish. I don't know, those of you in the audience and those of you up here, can you see the little yellow dots? Does it show up well enough? Can you see that? Well, Sammy, I could lend you my glasses, but you probably still wouldn't see. Here's the bottom line. Every one of those yellow dots is a household in the parish, identified geographically. And this is the base data that we started with when we started this program. So here's the first step and the most important part of this whole program. And that is 107 miles of fiber optic cable to be laid throughout the parish. So let's think about that in terms of what we just said. Fiber optic cable gets laid, and then you want to service those highly dense areas, we may actually have a solution that provides data all the way to the home, in St. Francisville, for example. Perhaps in Solitude, because the density of the homes there means it's more affordable to bring fiber optic all the way to the home. In the more rural areas, we'll be looking at some of these nodules, and we'll come off of them with wireless opportunities to bring the services to the whole parish. So there are your homes overlaid over once again. There's some books up here if you'd like one that you may be able to see those things better. Okay, so here's the project cost estimate. It's it's a total of $5.7 million, but this is to build the network that we need to build, not to provide the entire solution. Because as I'm going to show you in a minute, the entire solution works off of the network and works cooperatively with people who are already in the service provider side. We don't want to compete with the service providers. We don't want government to compete with AT&T. We want AT&T to compete with DirecTV, Comcast, Cox for your business over our network. So one of the things that Tim was charged with is making sure that the system was carrier agnostic. And amazingly, we've done better than that. We've got it not only carrier agnostic, but where it's very easy to go from one carrier to another so that they will in fact compete for your business. So the big cost here is the outside plant fiber optic cable. So that's the 107 miles of cable that we're going to do. That's the fiber at the core. The 107 miles is going to cost about $4.5 million. Now, why are the two lines different, colored? Well, because the number of fiber optic pairs within the cable is different depending on the density that we intend to serve. You can see, for example, that up the core of 61 and down in the southeast where we expect most of the development to take place, we'll probably have, I think it's 244 pair? 288 pair fiber optic cable. and then 144 pair cable will service the rest. And basically, we'll start out with a 10 gigabyte network. Okay, so open access to do more than just fast internet. Right now, if you look, these are all the people that compete for your business and your home's business in the internet. You know, you've got Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, et cetera. Google's now entering that market. So one of the solutions that people think is acceptable is we just wait. They'll compete. The problem with that is we don't have the number of people, the number of customers that makes it attractive for a company like AT&T to allocate the capital necessary, not to provide you the service, they're glad to do that, but to build the network necessary to deliver the service. But the current business model that people look at for fast internet, traditional broadband, is that all of these folks compete and they come and they each develop access to your home or your business. So they build the network. And they look at it and they say, gosh, even if we got 50% of the market share here, it's not worth it to us to develop that component of the infrastructure necessary to deliver the service. So the system that we're looking at is what we've called a community cloud. That is, we develop the access point, and if you notice, each of these colors represents, you know, a different provider, a different service, internet, phone, video TV, you know, interactive TV, distance learning, private networks, all of the things that are necessary to compete in the modern world that we don't have right now. And what we're talking about in this proposal that we're looking at developing is all of this. We develop the network, and then AT&T or whoever can come over our network, reimburse us for use of our network, and compete for your business. Okay, the problem with the traditional ISP model is that single source controls the speed offered to you, the innovation offered to you, the bandwidth offered to you, the data limits, the price, the services, the media. Everything is controlled by each provider. And each provider comes to you individually. What we're trying to do with this model, and we're not creating this model. You'll find later that this is something that has been put into use in other communities. So we're being creative, but we're not creating from scratch. So let me show you this image because I think it made some things very clear for me. This is the current model for the ISPs. It's like FedEx had to build their own road to deliver to your home and pick up from your home. And then UPS had to build their own road. What we're talking about is one road that all of those service providers can utilize. I mean, we don't build multiple roads to your home for individual service providers. So why do we build multiple broadband roads to your home? Makes no sense. Okay, what is open access, which is what we're looking for? What is dynamic open access? Why does it even matter? Well, first and foremost, it provides choice. Choice provides diversity, an opportunity for private sector innovation, opportunities, progress. It's evolvable, there's freedom, there's possibilities, all of those things that, we all differ from one another are possible in an open access system. Sammy and I live on Sage Hill Road, okay? And we're good friends, but he likes music that I like, but I like some music he doesn't like, and vice versa. So what we're looking for is open access that provides each of us the opportunity to make individual choices. Because don't get me wrong, if we implement this system, we will fundamentally change West Feliciana Parish forever. We will make it competitive in ways we cannot even contemplate right now for new business, new retail, new opportunities, new businesses, new developments, new residential, et cetera. So open access will get broad traction when it works like the internet in the cloud. What does that mean? Well, let's just talk about a couple of these concepts. One is pay-as-you-go. If we do this right, you don't have to sign up. You want to sit out there on Fire Tower Road and build a fence around your house and, say, I don't want the internet over here? Go for it. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to pay. But if you're on this system and you're using, and I'm not picking on Bailey or Cox, say you're using Cox right now and they do something that makes you mad. The system we're going to implement will allow you to go on your computer and change who's your provider right then. Now, that to me is the way the future needs to be. So you got mobility as service, you got automation, this whole system, you got everything that you're looking for in open access. Okay, let's talk about the Internet of Things. How many of you know what the Internet of Things is? That's your refrigerator talking to your home automation system, managing the energy usage, or like the air conditioner that Bill just put in my house that has the capability of being managed by a smart automation system. Well, the Internet of Things ultimately is going to use so much data because when you use a device like that and it goes out the internet, it has to go out and has to come back. And let me say this, it may just be a bit of information, but you're paying both ways. You're paying for the use of that data going out, and you're paying for the use of that data coming back. And that's truly not necessary. So should or will things from the Internet of Things, look, we're looking at 50 trillion gigabytes of data in the year 2020 going over the internet. 20 gigabytes, 20 trillion gigabytes of data. The answer is no, those things won't go over the internet for three primary reasons. One is security, the second is privacy, and the third is quality. Those things that don't need to go out and back shouldn't. They should remain on your local network. So one of the benefits of developing a network of the type we're looking at here is that we can have all of the functionality of the Internet of Things without charging people who live in West Feliciana what the people in Ascension might have to pay because it's going all the way out and back. Okay. Open access equals an intelligent community. What does that mean? Well, it means that these things like smart emergency response, smart public safety. Lee came in the meeting tonight. We were talking about this briefly, and he says, "Can you give us, what was the number you were looking for? 100 megabytes." And I said, "No, I can give you a gig. I can give you a gig, this system, in your ambulance." Now think about that. A gigabyte in the ambulance, for those of us who are in our 60s and think about living in the country by ourselves and, we have a heart attack and the ambulance shows up, having access to the internet at a 1 gig rate means that his EMS can talk to a surgeon in Mozambique in real time, or can talk to a heart surgeon, through a relationship they would establish for having a heart surgeon on call to customers of our hospital. That's just one area. Smart buildings, managing the utilities in this building better so we get the savings there. Smart transportation, public safety, energy. All of those things can happen here without going out on the internet and coming back. So this is one of the benefits of open access, because basically what this community will do if we develop a system like this And listen, this is not a promise. We have a lot of study to do. We've got a lot of work to do on this. You know, it's going to cost serious money, so we don't need to make mistakes with it. But it's the direction we need to go in. Okay, so internet-based things and private networks. It's the network of things. So you got web, you got, going out and doing research, email. You can also do your telephone system over this. So if we build this network, you'll be able to go to any kind of provider and transport your current phone system to a voice over IP system. Connected sensors, that means things that happen in your house, like the air conditioner that, Bill installed in my house. What I call over-the-top TV, that is access to everything you can possibly want. I don't know how many of you have realized it. It just occurred to me recently. But the days of buying television in packages is about a year and away from over. If you're a movie person, you don't need a system, you don't need a provider at all if you have the internet. If you like sports, you can buy individual channels. You can buy apps to provide all of the sports you want. All of these things, the delivery system of all of these ways of getting information and the information themselves is changing so rapidly that if we don't get ahead of it, we're going to be left behind. And then basic home security, all of these things, the telemedicine we were talking about, transportation, emergency communications, home automation, private access, etc. So, today's incumbent closed network, you triple play services, tomorrow it's open, services are unlimited. No competition for services, open competition for services. Limited competition on pricing, competitive pricing pressure. If you can flip from Cox to Comcast with the press of a button, they better be responsive to that. Voice over internet, anyway, a bunch of different things. Okay, so how smart is our community? Stage one, where we are right now, we've designed the network to separate transport from services and move intelligence to the edge. What does that mean? That sounds like tech speak to me. That means push the intelligence into your home. That's what it means. We want to connect everything with fiber optics. Then we install defined residential gateways and switches. If you want fiber optic on the front end and you want to pay for the last 500 feet of fiber optic, you can run fiber optic to your home. That's going to be an individual choice. If you would rather use a wireless system that's a lot more economical, it'll still deliver great value. So those are the kinds of choices that we will have in this system as we move forward. All right, so evolution and adoption. Compelling applications will drive adoption. Because, as we said, this is going to be a voluntary system. You're not going to have to sign up. This is not going to be provided to everyone just because we have it. You're going to sign up because you're going to have to pay for part of it. So the adoption curve, right now, there's some innovators, about 2.5% out there, but we're really right here in the early adopter phase of open access, what they call open access municipal clouds. And that's what we're really looking to develop here. Everything interesting will happen in software at the edge. What does that mean? That means all of the things that are going to add benefit and function to your life are going to be in software that resides near you, either in your handheld, on your computer, on your home automation system, all those things. And what this is about is connectivity. Okay, so this is the utility of the future right here. It may not look like this one, but it's going to be something like this that hangs off the side of your house. So remember, we built the fiber optic network and we've gotten close to your house. Then you have the choice between putting fiber to your house or doing a Wi-Fi system. But either way, it will connect to this. And what does this device do? Well, let me go back to it. I want to go back. This is like a little telephone box, but you can see it's got certain kinds of connectors. telephone company, it's got LAN kind of stuff, connectors, et cetera. There's all kinds of connections to this box that allow you to, this is your traditional gateway features, you know, and this is everything that this will do. It'll provide support for multiprocessors, third-party apps, open switches, optical uplinks. In other words, every way that data and information can be delivered to the home and dispersed throughout the home from the network will be available through these devices. So what we talked about earlier is once you're on this home network, you can change your system. You can go to fiber.com with a click of a button. You know, you will be able to do a menu of the services that you want and don't want, what's important to you, and the speed will be there. So there's a city in Idaho, Ammon, Idaho. They created a local improvement district. They viewed the infrastructure as a utility, which is the viewpoint I would like us to adopt here in West Feliciana. They shifted from municipal debt to homeowner equity for parts of this, meaning the homeowner buys into the system, makes an investment in the last 500 feet of the system, and it's a voluntary opt-in. It's so successful in Ammon, they're already at a 70% opt-in rate. Okay, let's take a quick look at this, which is...
Rather than copper. Next came other parks and buildings, utilities, the fire department, and the schools. Now, they didn't raise taxes to do this. They just used their existing budget, and they laid fiber strategically.
We don't necessarily.
All right, so they didn't change their budget. They just laid fiber strategically. What's the economic impact of their system?
Once we did that and realized we had this excess capacity and have been able to go out to the private sector and to the business community, you know, within the first 3 years, we were operating, well, we were breaking even, and now we would tell you we're operating in the black. So it was absolutely the right financial decision on top of everything else.
The business community started getting excited, with banks and credit unions starting to get connected. And then wireless carriers wanted fiber to their towers. And all along the network, it was spurring economic growth.
If you drive down Hit Road, which is the border between Ammon and the city of Idaho Falls, you will notice that the growth is on the east side of the road. That's Ammon. And why? It comes down to fiber. That's why. That's why.
Do you see that? It really does come down to connectivity. It's part of what's holding West Feliciana back right now is connectivity. You know, many people would love to live in a community like ours and telecommute. We just can't deliver the broadband capacity to allow them to do that. Let me see, I think we got one more thing and then I'll...
They're doing.
Is this appropriate for the public sector to enter in and potentially compete with the private sector, which of course is why we ended up with an open access network. That was really the motivation and drive, is so we could go to the public and say, we're not competing, we're actually enhancing competition.
That expression is used a lot, change the paradigm, but we're really changing the model. We're changing it technically, and then I believe we're looking at the economics and trying to combine those so that they're logical and they support one another.
Ammon's taking control away from the big cable and telephone monopolies. They want the network to allow anyone to offer innovative services, like these companies.
Well, part of it is if you do not evolve, you're probably not going to be around for very long. With the city of Ammon, we are able to come in, use their fiber where it traditionally would have cost us quite a bit to do our own infrastructure. So time to market was much quicker, and it gives us access to the customers that they're already doing business with.
So we use fiber to bring into the tower, and then we'll distribute 100 meg or more to some of our customers wirelessly. Bringing in competition and what Bruce is doing and allowing us to use him as a utility, and all these providers hop on his network is huge. It's a great opportunity for all of us and for us to grow as well as a company and to get our name out there.
Okay, so that's basically our proposal. where we are today. We're not asking for anything tonight. We want everyone to take some of this on board, take one of those packages home. I think we need to have a lot of dialogue and discussion with the community on this. But I have to say that one of the things that I wanted to accomplish recently with the Big Chill was to set out in front of our community a challenge to say, can we come together? Can we work on something? Can we overcome resistance and negativity and show that West Feliciana can step up and do some things that are interesting and fun and bring the community together from all segments of the population? And I'm pleased to tell you, we'll have a full financial and other report when Rob Hunter gets back from vacation. I was gone last week, but I think most of you were at the event. It was very successful from almost every standpoint that we set out. But one of the things that I really wanted it to do was show the community that going in a new direction may be a little scary to some people, but it's something that is necessary to building a better future for everyone. Now, this project right here is probably going to be scary to some people. We're going to hear all kinds of negatives. Heck, I could write 20 minutes of negative story right now. I really could, because I know probably as much or more than anyone except maybe Tim what the pratfalls are between here and success. But I will say to you that there are a bunch of things that hold communities back. But the most important thing you have to overcome that holds communities back is the same thing that holds individuals back, and that's yourself, your own feeling about your community. Now, I see West Feliciana as the first truly intelligent community in Louisiana. That's my vision. A place where we can live the small town lifestyle we want, but still participate in the educational, entertainment opportunities that the rest of the world revels in. And if we can do that, we really can accomplish the one thing that I'm committed to, which is providing growth for our community and economic prosperity for our community without giving up the things that make us special. I think we can have it all. I believe that.
Kevin, have y'all started looking at any of the legal issues? Like how
Oh, yeah, Mel,
like how do we spend taxpayers' money to put this infrastructure in and then turn around and let AT&T and them charge customers to use?
We charge them.
We're gonna charge so we can
Oh,
recoup
yeah,
our money?
AT&T doesn't get to play in our playground
Okay.
for free.
Is that legal? Can we take taxpayer money and make money on taxpayers' money?
There are, well, sure, we have a water system. We take the taxpayers' money to build a water system.
Yeah, but we're actually supposed to just kind of maintain it and keep it up. We
There's no
don't make
law
a
that says you
profit,
can't
I
make a
thought.
profit in a water company. In East Baton Rouge, they have a water company that's private sector, but a lot of it was developed with public funds. Here's the point, Mel. The point is, are there legal impediments to doing this? Probably. But that's why you have a legislature, because I can promise you, whenever the laws were put in place that might block this, none of this technology existed. I'm committed to making it happen. And if that means, and I've talked to Kenny Havard about, it might be necessary to change some laws, we're going to go forward. There are going to be impediments. That's probably the number one impediment to what we're all trying to do. But I don't see how we could accomplish the goals we've all set out until and unless we bring this kind of technology to our community. And the private sector is not going to do it. They're very honest with us privately when we talk to them about it. There aren't enough people here to interest a company in building this kind of network. Because the big investment, that $6 million investment between their pipe and your house, is money that can't get allocated at their board level to a community with 9,412 residents, and 4,400 households. Can't do it. So, anyway.
If I'm not mistaken, and I went through a tour with it, Ascension Parish has done something like what Kevin is talking about. And a lot of what happens when you're doing that, these other companies want to piggyback and run on your system, and you charge them. And the communities make money out there. There are other communities that are using this, and they're making money off of it.
Any other questions? I hope y'all will get as excited about this as I am. And I hope when we do hit roadblocks and impediments, we don't get discouraged. You know, one of the things that my background has taught me, I was in the venture capital business, and the venture capital business, basically, if you make 10 investments, you know that 4 of them, 40%, you're gonna lose all of your money. All of your money. And I can tell you, knowing that doesn't make it less painful. When it happens, you go, oh my God, I've lost all my money on that deal. And then 40% of them, if you put $1 million in it, you're lucky to get $1 million back after 3 or 4 years. Sometimes you get 600,000, sometimes you get $1.1 million. We call those the living dead, okay? So you get 2 deals that have to pay you every bit of that money back that you lost, plus the return on the whole money that you've got to invest. Well, what that teaches you is resilience. It teaches you that very seldom does the business plan that you invested in end up being the business that makes you money. Even the ones that are successful learn something along the way that changes their direction or their focus to put them in the path towards success. And that's what we're going to have to do as a community, to be successful in the long term and leave this parish a better place than what we found it.
I got one thing.
Yes,
I know we're looking at, that's great now. I'm just looking at other infrastructure with the water and sewers and all, getting all that lined out. I know that's some,
It's important. I'm not going to deny that it's
right,
important.
right.
But I
just-
would tell you this, I would spend money on this before I would spend money on our water system.
Yeah, it just, you know, we got some people that not getting sufficient, you know, enough.
And look,
Water
it's
and
not a
sewer.
choice. We don't have to make a
Right,
choice,
right.
either or. We, as you know, because we've worked on it together, we're working on the water system here. We know we have to build a new well up in,
Wano.
your part of the world. We have some upgrades. When the system was overhauled back in the 90s, we got yinsed. We paid for pipe that wasn't put in. We paid for connections that weren't correct. As we go through and find doing repairs, you know it better than me. Melvin's the only councilman I've met so far that's been down in the hole with a shovel on a weekend when things needed. So he's seen it. I'm sure all of you have seen it by now. You know, John was in the drainage project the other day. You know, a lot of people go out and take a look at things. I know Bill calls us every day trying to get something fixed. But the point is, we can do that. We can have a good water system. But we can't grow without this communications network. I really don't think any community will grow without a good cloud-based system sometime in the near future. That picture from Ammon, Idaho, one side of the street, which is in Ammons and has fiber optic network, is full of businesses, and the other side of the street, which isn't part of the network, has nothing. That's the best evidence I've seen of what it takes to be successful. So I managed to take a very short meeting and turn it a lot longer, but I'm through for the day. Thank you.